Yo, what's up everybody? Jumping here. Today I want to show you guys my new and improved Ranger combo build in Anthem. This build has been updated since patch 1.4, and I wanted to go ahead and show it to you guys because enough has changed that I do really want you guys to see this, because it is pretty crazy on what has happened with the Ranger. They have given the Ranger so many buffs. I guess BioWare continued to think that the Ranger was the most underpowered javelin in the entire game. That's why he needed all these buffs. But to be honest, ever since patch 1.3, I thought the Ranger was amazing. The ultimate would do crazy damage. The combos could one-shot in GM3. And on top of that, the melee would do great damage. And you could do some builds with certain effects of guns like the Divine Vengeance. I've showed some of these videos in the past. The Ranger was strong. But I guess they decided he needed a lot of buffs, and now they've made him incredible. So let's go ahead and get started with this. The first thing I want to talk about is actually the components, because there's one component that is so much better now. It is insane. And that component is actually Elemental Ops. Oh my god, what they did with this. They improved it so that now you get a 50% bonus to fire resistance, heat capacity, and fire damage. So if you're using something that can benefit from fire damage, you're going to get a 50% buff. But the biggest thing, and the reason why I'm using this on this build, and this might actually surprise you because I'm not using any fire on this build at all. But the reason why I'm using it is because on a 5-hit streak, you will automatically apply acid to the target. Now you can combine this with any gun in the game, it makes no difference. But I would definitely say that the Rallier's Blaze is one of the best ones, because not only can you add the fire effect on a 5-hit streak, but now you can add acid as well. So your fire combo that you're going to get off of that is going to pretty much guarantee one-shot most enemies on GM3. And that is pretty crazy. Now, the inscriptions on this are really bad. I wish I could get a better one. But this was my final legendary for the Ranger. I grinded so long to get this. It just would not give it to me. And finally it did. And I was so happy. So definitely, if you're going to do a combo build, you want to use this. You want to use this on pretty much every build because the effect is too good. Being able to apply acid just by shooting an enemy, or even when you use your ultimate, that's another crazy thing. If you're using your ultimate, you can actually apply acid with your ultimate, which is kind of ridiculous. Next up, we have Airborne Advantage. This is going to improve your impact damage by 50%, but decrease your blast damage by 20%. Now, one of the things they changed is that this will now give you 25% resistance to everything while you're hovering. So if you are airborne, you're going to get the damage resistance, which is really nice. Next up, we have Soften Blows. This is amazing now for the Ranger. It's really good on every javelin. That is the truth. This is amazing on every single javelin, to the point where I think they actually might end up nerfing this just because it's so strong on so many of the javelins. Really all of them. But with the Ranger, this is incredible because anytime you lose your shields and then you take a little bit of damage, this is going to kick in. You're going to get 75% damage resistance for 5 seconds. But all you have to actually do now with this is melee, which I'm about to get to in a moment. But that's it. That's all you have to do is melee. I love the inscription I have on this. It could be better, but I'm not going to complain much because I do think I have a god roll. Now, the next one I guess I should talk about is the Vanguard's Badge. This is an incredible buff. First of all, they upped it to 40% melee damage and 40% electric effects, primarily meaning that it's going to be easier for you to apply your lightning onto enemies, which is a problem that the Ranger can suffer from. If you're not using anything to boost that, there are some enemies that you will not apply your lightning onto them with your melee in one hit. It will take you 2 hits. But with this, you don't have to worry about that. 1 hit should do it almost every single time. But the big thing with this is now whenever you hit an enemy with your melee, it's going to restore 40% of your shields. So talk about a brutal combo when you combine Soften Blows with this. Because like I said, you lose your shields, you get that damage resistance, and now you're really tanky. And then all you have to do is melee. And now you can get 40% of your shields back. If you lose your shields, you're going to get Soften Blows back. And then you're going to be able to just keep cycling that non-stop. Next up is Tip of the Spear. This is going to increase combo damage by 60% this got a 10% buff, and the bonus effect was not changed. But this is an amazing component for the Ranger. It was always amazing, and it still is. Anytime that you actually do a combo, it's going to restore 40% armors to you and all your allies around you. Now, the radius of that is really small. I'm talking about super small. So most of the time, you're not really going to be healing your allies. But one little pro tip, I guess I should actually bring this up, is that you can actually use this as a medic. What you can do is you can prime a target for a combo, and if you have a downed ally, you can actually just run right next to that ally, detonate that combo, and because you're standing right next to your ally, it will heal them. They will automatically get up. You do not actually have to sit there and revive them. So that is a really cool thing you can do with the Ranger, and I really do love Tip of the Spear. And finally, what I'm using for this build, now this can be changed depending on your own circumstances, but I'm using Badge of Devastation. This is going to increase your assault launcher damage by 30%, which is really nice. This is actually a really big buff. It used to only be 5%. And what's really sad is that there are still some of these components out there on the other Javelins that will only give you a buff of 5%, which is a joke. I think that every single one of those components should be at least 15% because 5% is ridiculous. But the reason why I'm using this is because whenever you get a large hit streak of 10, you will actually get some ultimate charge back. It's not a ton, but it's enough that you will notice it. And you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, what's that about exactly? Because this is a combo build. And that's true. But once I actually get to the weapon, then you'll start to understand why this is actually really good. Now, the other choice that you could use over this, and it is one that I'm really torn on. I'm super torn on this because I really like that ultimate charge. But let me find it. And that's Victor's Resolve. This is going to increase blast damage by 50%, which is nice for your ultimate especially. But the effect on it is really good. And this was buffed. Now it's just a multi-hit. It used to be a multi-kill. And it's only a 2 multi-hit. So that's so easy. If you're using a frag grenade, and that's what you should be using on a combo build, it is, in my opinion, the best thing to use. You're going to be able to get that no problem. And that's going to instantly restore 25% of your armor. So let me give you a scenario because this happens all the time when you're playing on the Ranger. You see a group of enemies. You go in for a jumping melee. And let's say you hit 2 of them with that melee. You're going to prime both of them with lightning. And that's going to restore 80% of your shields because of the Vanguard's badge. Then you throw your frag grenade and you combo them. They both die. You will get 80% of your armor back from Tip of the Spear. And then with this, you get 25% of it back. So you're pretty much talking about 80% of your shields restored and 105% of your armor restored. That is ridiculous, and I definitely want to use this, but like I said, I really do like Badge of Devastation right now, and this is a real problem for me because the Ranger is just too good now. Just too good. I want more component space because there's so many things I could use, and there's even more. There's other components I would like to use, but I can't use them because I just don't have the space for them. And that's actually quite hilarious. Alright, so now let's go ahead and get down to the nitty gritty of everything that you want for a combo build with the Ranger. The L1 is going to be the last argument. This is the frag grenade. And my roll I have has 29% damage and 100% charges. Now, if you can get one with like 200 or 300% charges on it, that's amazing. That is a super god roll. But I do really like this roll I have because of the general damage and also because of the charges. Next up, for the assault launcher, I am using the Reoccurring Vengeance, which is the Seeker Missile. The buff that this got is insane. It is insane because now whenever you detonate a combo, you get it back. That's all you have to do is just detonate a combo. So this could literally be your only detonator if this is what you want. If you want to use something like a frost grenade or an inferno grenade, you could, and then just detonate the combo with this. Go in for the lightning for lightning, shoot them for acid. There you go. I mean, that is really crazy. And this is kind of bugged now because gear doesn't scale, and on the higher difficulties, in reality, it doesn't really do much damage when you're talking about just gear damage. But one thing you can do, if you can apply 2 effects onto a target, like a boss or something, which is really easy, especially if you do have teammates. Like, let's say there is lightning and acid on that target, or let's just say fire and acid. You shoot out the missile, and you will detonate the fire combo, and because the acid effect is still primed on the target, you cannot actually detonate that acid effect. You can't do it. That's how it works. You can actually shoot this on a limited amount of times. I've done it before, where you just keep shooting it non-stop because the game is registering you as detonating a combo, although you're not. So you can effectively have an infinite Seeker Missile if you do that. Like I said, the damage of the Seeker Missile isn't really all that great. If you had one with maybe like a crap ton of damage, it could be pretty decent. But that is something you can do if you want to go ahead and glitch it. But this roll, not a big fan of it, but as you can see, I have a ton of legendaries, but I only have 1 Seeker Missile. But I do like the roll because it came with general damage and also luck. So that's why I actually like it. But I have no other choice. I wish I could get another Seeker Missile, but I've been really unlucky when it comes to getting the Seeker Missile. Now for the support gear, I'm just using whatever. Primarily, I don't really use the support gear, I'll be honest. But I'm using this because it gives me 45% shields and 33% luck. And that's pretty much it. Now, this is the most important part, believe it or not. That is the weapon. The weapon that we are using, and this might surprise you, is the Rolling Carnage. Now, the way this works is that if you're going to use elemental ops, remember, hitting an enemy 5 times will apply acid. You want to use a shotgun. Now, there is a shotgun universal mod where you have to hit them with like 7 of the pellets, and if you do that, it will automatically apply acid. You don't have to worry about that with this, because all you have to do is you shoot the target. You can even shoot it from really far away, and if you hit them 5 times with the shot, you will apply acid on them automatically. So the shotgun with the Ranger now is amazing just for that reason. Being able to apply acid by 1 shot on every single enemy is incredible. Now, I definitely do like the Rolling Carnage a lot for this because it shoots twice. And because it shoots twice, that means I can also take advantage of the Badge of Devastation. So not only am I getting the 5-hit streak, but I'm also getting the 10-hit streak with this. And yeah, it is so overpowered, so good. Now, if I had it, which I do not actually have it, I have a ton of legendary weapons, but I do not have the Radiant Fortress. If you had that, that would maybe be your best choice because in reality, your shotgun's not going to do a ton of damage. Even if you have a really good roll, it's not going to be all that great because weapons don't scale. But with the Radiant Fortress, you can take advantage of the fact that every time you shoot it, you're getting shields back. Plus, you can melee to get your shields back. That's really nice. Also, the Pop-Up Pump is definitely not bad. But I just personally really like the Rolling Carnage for this just because it shoots twice. It will automatically apply acid from the first shot. If I can hit them with both shots, I'll definitely get the Badge of Devastation bonus. It is incredible. The roll I have on this is definitely not bad. I like the general damage. It also has 225% physical, so it can do some damage. But when you're playing on like Grandmaster 3, the weapons are just so crappy if they don't have an effect. This is why they have to let gear and also weapon damage scale. It doesn't have to scale to the same degree of combos and melees and things like that, but it should scale with your power just so that you can actually make like a weapon build or a gear build that will actually be able to play on the higher difficulties and do good damage. And my other weapon here I'm using is primarily just because of the defense. It has 80% shields, 80% armor, but the other thing it has is 48% gear speed, which is really nice, especially for my frag grenade. I don't have to worry about that so much with the Seeker Missile, but sometimes you will actually mess up and either you hit an enemy that is not primed and then you will waste your Seeker Missile, or you might just miss. That does actually happen sometimes. And it's nice to be able to get it back a lot faster. But like I said, this is primarily for the frag grenade, so I can get that back. And I even forgot to mention with the frag grenade, you get your ultimate back super quick. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I want to use Victor's Resolve, is because I want to get that buff to Blast, because the ultimate will do a lot more damage when you have that compared to if you don't. And the reason why I chose the Impact one over the Blast one is because I personally feel, and I could be wrong, but I personally feel like I do more damage with the Impact component on with my combos, because the combos are Impact combos. And I have tested this, and the problem is you can't see the numbers, so you really don't know. But from my testing, it does appear like I do more damage with my combos whenever I have the Airborne Advantage on and I don't have Victor's Resolve on. So if I'm just giving myself a 50% buff to Impact, my combos definitely feel stronger. Alrighty guys, well now it is time to do some gameplay. I'll show you how this build works, primarily with the shotgun, because being able to apply acid with that shotgun is incredible. And if you're using the Rolling Carnage, like I said, you can also take advantage of the Badge of Devastation. Plus with the Frag Grenade, you can get your ultimate back so fast. It is insane. Alrighty guys, well here's going to be the gameplay. It's on Grandmaster 3, and you're about to see what this can do. Now the first thing, I guess, I can actually show it on Pikachu over here. If I shoot an enemy with this shotgun, you're going to notice I'm getting ultimate back. And that is because of the Badge of Devastation. I was really good about that. You might think, well, that's not much. Is that really going to help? Well, the thing is that in the grand scheme of things, probably not when it comes to me fighting multiple enemies and just take them out super quick and stuff. No, because I can get my ultimate back so fast by just doing combos, and especially doing multi-combos with the Frag Grenade. The Frag Grenade is so good at getting your ultimate back. But against big enemies, boss enemies, things like that, that is when the badge actually comes really in handy, because as you're fighting that boss, you can just start spamming shots of the shotgun. Let me actually shoot some of these enemies so you can see the acid combo, because I'm just meleeing like crazy, which is normally what you want to do. I always like to try to go for the melee combo first. That way you get some shields back as well. Then I'll go for the acid combo. But that's generally the rule, which is I like to go for the acid combo on a single target, where against multi-targets, I generally will go for the Frag Grenade combo, because I get all that ultimate back every time I do it. And on top of it, I can get a multi-kill by doing that. So, let me go ahead and now just use the shotgun a little bit. Now, one thing I actually do want to just show off is, you guys seen my shotgun. It was not bad. It actually had like 225% damage on it. But now, I got the buff. Let me shoot this guy. I mean, look at this. This is sad. Like, the difference between me shooting him to death compared to me just comboing him once, or even if I had like a melee build where I had everything like specced out for melee, all that would be good. All that would be fine. But the weapons really need to scale, just like the gear. That's the biggest problem, in my opinion, with the Storm, is that the Storm needs the gear to scale. That way the Storm can be great again, man. The Storm was like really good when the game came out. But once patch 1.3 came out, I think the Storm is probably the worst one now, honestly. I really do. And I thought the Ranger was much better than the Storm once 1.3 came out, because the Ranger was able to go into GM3 just like this. It's the same thing pretty much. I was able to do this. Now, he wasn't as strong because he didn't have as many buffs, but without the support gear, his damage was even higher, so that's something. But my point is that I was able to do this on GM3 no problem. One-shot most of these basic guys, even if they were elite. That's a big deal, by the way. On GM3, you can one-shot a lot of small guys no problem, but once they become elite enemies and stuff, that's when it gets a little bit more difficult. And the Ranger could do that, where the Storm, really, I think the Storm is good. Don't get me wrong, I like the Storm. I've been playing a lot of Storm recently, and I want to make a Storm video. But the reason why I like the Storm, honestly, is because the Storm, I think, is really good at support. Trust me, if I had a really good Storm that was priming targets for me, and I'm playing Ranger, I love that. Because if the Storm's really just priming a lot of targets and allowing me to detonate those targets, that is freaking awesome for me and the Storm. Because the Storm's helping me, I'm helping the Storm, because I'm actually killing the enemies for the Storm. And that's just something really cool. Same with the Colossus. The Colossus can actually really help out the Storm and stuff. One good thing about the shotgun, though, I will admit, is that the shotgun is at least decent at taking down shields. So that's really cool. And I do like that. Okay, this should be interesting. You're going to see the infinite spam right there. For some reason, against those elementalists, like whenever you prime them with acid with this shotgun, it doesn't really work all that well. You can't just combo them immediately. And that is something too. You do want to be mindful of not double stacking your primer. What I mean is you don't want to run in, hit them with a melee, and then immediately shoot them. There's really no point to do that. If you start with the melee, hit them. If they survive, shoot them, and then hit them again with something else. And they will definitely die. Even if you didn't have the legendaries, which I understand. That's perfectly understandable if you don't have legendaries. And you're just a Masterwork Ranger. If you go into GM2, you can pretty much do the same thing with this exact same build. But on GM3, it probably would take you at least 2 combos to kill an enemy. But that's really not a problem because, like I said, go in with the melee, combo, shoot them, combo, they're dead. So that is something. But I would definitely say if you're going to play GM3, try to be as high as power as possible. That means you're going to need a lot of legendaries, which is a big bummer because I know a lot of people are having ridiculously hard times getting legendaries. Myself as well, at least for my Storm. Like, I got really lucky on my Ranger, but on my Storm, I've been getting really unlucky, and it's a big, big bummer. But this build is incredibly powerful. It's super tanky. Like I said, you can go in, get like 80% of your shields back if you melee 2 enemies, and then you can combo them to get 80% of your armor back. If you're using Victor's Resolve, you can get 25% of your armor back. So in the end, you get like 80% shields, 105% armor. It's ridiculous. Now, one last thing I do want to say is that I still really like the Ralnir's Blaze. I know that some people might ask me about that because I used that before, and that is still one of my favorite weapons in the entire game. And I still will probably end up using that, and I would take off my other weapon I have on currently, which is the Cycle of Pain, because the Ralnir's Blaze is still really good if you're playing with people who are using a lot of ice abilities. That is a problem. If you're playing with Colossus or Storms and they're freezing a lot of enemies, that can kind of screw you over, where if you have the Blaze, you can go ahead and ignite those enemies to unfreeze them, do a combo. If the Storm or the Colossus will go ahead and freeze them, or even the Interceptor. Interceptor's using ice a lot now too, because Interceptor's OP. But if anyone freezes it, you can get a combo, and then you can go ahead and get a second combo by setting them on fire. So the Ralnir's Blaze is really good for that, and I would probably recommend that as your secondary weapon. I'm just using the Cycle of Pain just to go ahead and show off the gear speed, because the gear speed is pretty ridiculous, and I can get my frag grenades to come back so fast. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for this video. I really hope you have enjoyed it and this has helped. If it has, will you please like the video for me? Be sure to subscribe for future videos, and I really do hope that everyone has a very nice day, and peace out.